Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars Coffee, where in today's video, we're going to be going over all of the Easter eggs in The Mandalorian Season 2, Chapter 9, The Marshal. That's today here on Star Wars Coffee. Greetings, Exalted Ones. Greetings to all you Jedi, Padawans, and younglings out there. This is Star Wars Coffee, covering everything you need to know about the latest developments, news, and leaks in Star Wars, and as always, giving you my analysis. The Mandalorian Season 2 has finally arrived. Today, October 30th, you are able to watch The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1, Chapter 9, The Marshal. What we're going to do in today's video is take a look at all of the Easter eggs and the analysis of what we saw in this episode. And boy, was this a packed episode, clocking in at 52 minutes. So, for those of you who haven't seen this episode, what are you doing? Go do that. But there will be spoilers from The Mandalorian Season 2, Chapter 9 in this episode. So if you haven't seen it yet, this has been your spoiler warning. So what we saw in this first episode really did consist of what I expected when I was talking about my trailer analysis videos. And that is the fact that it was very likely that they did what they were going to do last season and focus very heavily on the first episode for the trailers, which is what we saw. We saw a majority of these trailers take place in this first episode. So a lot of the footage that we saw, the bantha, the flying, the child's come with me, all of that stuff, we saw all of that in this first episode. So this also confirms the videos I talked about with Timothy Olyphant playing Cobb Vanth. That also came to fruition, and of course we got Temuera Morrison back as Boba Fett, but more on that later. So to do a quick review and get into some of these Easter eggs, this episode was excellent. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was enjoying it the moment it began to the moment it finished. This episode was set up like a classic Western. So Mando, the gunslinger, comes into town, not a pun with a previous episode name, just convenient choice of words, came into town and attempted to help Timothy Olyphant's character, Cobb Vanth, with the problem he saw in exchange for Boba's armor. So this also gave echoes back to the Mudhorn last season, just specifically based on the geography of what we saw. So it was very good to bring in back viewers who only watched episode 1 through 8 one time. So just for those general audience viewers, this was an excellent reintroduction kind of into the visual aesthetic of the show. And the people from the settlement, so this village on Tatooine, and the Tuscans have to band together to kill this creature, this crate, and it was fantastic. They do it in true cinematic fashion. It's one of the most exhilarating and thrilling action scenes of the series thus far, only I think topped in my opinion by Chapter 3's The Sin, which when Mando goes back to retrieve the child, that is just one of the finest pieces of cinematography I've ever seen by Deborah Chow. Fantastic in Chapter 3. However, this was very excellent, very cinematic, very, very well done. Jon Favreau, tip my hat to you, sir. And one of the things that this did is it really gave, and here's one of the Easter eggs, is it really gave us a good homage to the original trilogy, specifically about Ralph McQuarrie, who did all of the concept art for the original trilogy and did a fantastic job of it, and that his art has continued to be incorporated into the sequel trilogy, into Solo, into Rogue One, into now The Mandalorian, with his concept art of some crate. So this was an excellent nod to the original trilogy. It was very, very epic, very well done. Jon Favreau, again, cannot tip my cap enough to you. As you guys can tell, I'm very excited about this. And the appearance of Temuera Morrison at the end of the episode, fantastic. Very, very good cliffhanger. Pretty much what I expected. I heard rumblings of Temuera Morrison's Boba Fett being in the first episode, but I couldn't verify that with anyone else, so I decided to not mention that, but I'm very glad that that was in fact true, and we did see Boba Fett in this episode. So Temuera Morrison, obviously back as Boba Fett, very much more older, much more war-torn-esque looking for Temuera Morrison, who is undoubtedly Boba Fett, who is alive and well, who now has a mysterious role going forward in the show and now knows of Din. So, getting into some more specific Easter eggs of this episode, we can take a look at several things. We have the child who is in the episode but doesn't really provide much in terms of plot development, but as always he's in there. Excellent to see. So, first Easter egg, Amy Sedaris returns as Pelimato, and so do her pit droids. She also has what appears to be R5-D4, which is very excellent tip from A New Hope. I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, it's R5, this is fantastic, and it really just immersed myself into the episode that much farther and gave me that much more joy out of the episode. And I must mention that Amy Sedaris, back in the first time we saw her, that was my least favorite episode of season 1, just because of the entire plot I thought was weak, the characters in it. I didn't think the newly added ones were that great, but Amy Sedaris really just changed my tune 180 degrees completely. She was excellent in this episode, very funny, very well done. Her jokes about Mando liking the droids and then not liking the droids, and about the child, all fantastic stuff. So she has R5-D4, which I'm sure a lot of you diehards recognized from A New Hope, and for those of you who didn't, go back and watch A New Hope and you'll see before they pick up R2 and 3PO, you'll see that the bad motivator in R5 has been fixed. So another thing is, the Marshal, who is Cobb Vanth, who is Timothy Oliphant's character, rides a speeder, and this is the craziest thing. He rides in a speeder, which is a modified pod racer engine. So, and here's the even crazier thing. It appears to be the same make and model as Anakin's from The Phantom Menace. So, now, not only is Jon Favreau tying in the original trilogy with R5, as well as the Ralph McQuarrie-inspired art, he's now going back to the prequel trilogy, which we already saw Tamara Morrison in that, but now we're seeing him tie in episode 1 with the pod racing, which is absolutely awesome to see. So a crazy Easter egg right there, probably a lot of you were unaware of, that it's the exact make and model of Anakin's from the Boonta Eve race. So another thing, this was another excellent tip to the original trilogy. We saw it in the flashback of how Cobb Vanth acquired Boba Fett's armor. The explosion of the Death Star 2 is viewed on a hologram video on Mos Pelgo, and that is the village where the Marshal is, Cobb Vanth is, kind of running the town and protecting the town from the miner settlement. So, very excellent thing to see here. We get another perspective on what it was like around the galaxy when the Death Star 2 exploded. While their celebration was short-lived, it really just gave me vibes of, oh, this is so excellent, and I immediately, in my mind, thought of Luke and Darth Vader and Leia and Han and everything, and it was so excellent to see. So that was fantastic. Really connecting, and as I say, Filoni and Favreau fantastic on intertwining pieces of continuity throughout different mediums and eras of Star Wars, and this is no exception here. So another one, we have the Tuscans, who keep a number of mastiffs, which is a dog-like lizard creature, and this was excellent when it came out and Mando was able to tame it because he speaks Tuscan. Awesome. And this creature was first introduced in another prequel reference in Attack of the Clones. Fantastic stuff. This entire episode front to back was just fantastic and incredibly enjoyable. So another thing is, and this is probably the biggest one to kind of, in a way, tinker with the original trilogy, and that is the fact that Mando is able to show that Boba Fett's backpack was indeed his greatest weakness, which makes complete sense that Favreau would choose to do this, given the sense that the way Boba ended up in the Sarlacc pit from an essentially blind Han Solo. And the fact that Boba essentially just whacks Cobb Vanth's jetpack and he just kind of goes flying and then hits the ground hard is just a good indication that Boba's armor has indeed seen better days. And that could not be more true in this episode when it looks even more tattered and torn than it already was. Not to mention the fact that Timothy Oliphant barely fits in that thing, considering he's very much a lankier person, which I think was obviously intentional, given the fact that he was able to protect the city this way, knowing that a Mandalorian was there and the reputation of being able to kill. And another thing, we have this cliffhanger that we just have to talk about a little more. Boba at the end. Tamara Morrison clearly aware of Din now. He's aware of the child. He's aware of Cobb Vanth now, who had his armor. So this also confirmed the leaks that suggested that he would be coming back to fruition. All of the various leaks over the last couple of months that we've been talking about, all of those are now come true as well, with Tamara Morrison's return confirmed with his cliffhanger appearance. So whether it's going to continue on with him in episode 2 or whether we're going to get more of a cliffhanger like we did in season 1 on some of these angles is yet to be seen. But we now know that Tamara Morrison is going to be in more than just this episode, given the way the episode ended, which in itself is fantastic news. But let me know what you guys think about this episode in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching. May God bless you and the Force be with you always. If you enjoyed this episode, and frankly, even if you didn't, don't forget to subscribe.
Do it!
And if you want to help spread the word, please give this video a thumbs up and tell your friends to subscribe. Please check out the official Star Wars Coffee merchandise, and don't forget to check out all of the content playlists on this channel, including The Rise of Skywalker, The Mandalorian, and much more.